Blink-182. But I'm actually going to start this on a bit of a negative. Compared to a lot of pop-punk bands, Blink-182 have a fair few misses.
They do.
I wasn't a huge fan of Cheshire Cat.
Oh. I thought you meant like fucking California and stuff like that.
I wasn't a huge fan of Nine. I wasn't a huge fan of California.
I mean, I like California more than Nine.
I like it, but I don't think it's that amazing. Dude Ranch, it's just all right.
Whoa, you're blowing me away here, man.
Hear me out.
I'm hearing
Good
you
singles,
out.
But it's not like an amazing album, top to bottom. Whereas...
What do you think of Buddha?
Anyway.
I can't believe I'm hearing this.
They're still number one. Not for those albums. Those albums aren't bad. I'm just saying that they're not as good, and it's hard to compare them to the 4-album run that they had. Enema Estate, Take Off Your Pants and Jacket, self-titled, Blink-182, and Neighbourhoods. One after the other, to go like that. I think that is at the phase of the band where Mark, Tom, and Travis had fully bonded, were together, and were at the peak of their powers. Mm-hmm. And as far as a pop-punk run goes, Enema Estate into Take Off Your Pants and Jacket into self-titled, a lot of people won't include Neighbourhoods in that, and that's fair enough. But just those three are three of the best pop-punk albums of all time. Some massive bangers throughout them. All the Small Things, I Miss You. And I Miss You is one of those songs where I'll play it to my friends who aren't pop-punk fans, and they really like it, even if it makes them want to cry.
You love talking about I Miss You. It's your favourite track to talk about.
I've been through
I think this might be the third time you've made this point on this podcast.
I've been through some things with I Miss You.
Yeah, it sounds it, mate.
It's been a rough couple of years. But honestly, I just think it's just got to be them. Mm-hmm. That run, for me, I've just got a special connection with Blink. I've always liked them. They were the reason I really got into like live music, if you will. I remember when I was like 13 watching their Reading set on BBC and thinking, oh, I'm going to go to that festival one day. And it was because of Blink. The first ever proper iPod I had, I discovered Blink on when I was on my way to America when I was like 14, 15. And then I've just loved them from that point. They can't be beaten. And I don't think most people would really argue it. They might just bring up what I brought up at the start of. There is a few duds. I think the Skibber era, there's a few good songs from there.
I don't think the Skibber era was that bad.
I just don't class it as that Blink.
No, it wasn't. No, I think what they obviously wanted to carry on the Blink name. They wanted to carry on releasing as Blink because they'd formed back and they had a thing going. And then Tom dropped out and they said, look, we're not gonna just all split off and do separate bands again. Let's just stay as Blink. I think if they'd have released California and Nine under a band name that wasn't Blink, people would have received it so much better.
But speaking of those alternative bands, we're obviously talking about the top 10 pop-punk artists of all time, and I think it's important to consider what they've done as artists. You look at Travis Barker, he has been the front runner for the new wave of pop-punk, bringing through Jaden, Kenny Hoopla, kind of bringing back Avril Lavigne, Machine Gun Kelly. He's just worked with countless people, even some smaller like indie bands in the UK. He's done a song with The Hunter, stuff like that. And then Mark Hoppus has always collaborated really well with a lot of pop-punk bands. He's featured on a State Champs track. He's featured on a Neck Deep track. He's featured on a Busted track. He's featured on a McFly track. He's featured on a Muck Busted track. He's got a side project with Alex from All Time Low.
Yeah.
And then there's also Plus 44, Boxcar Racer, Angels and Airwaves. It's just like, as artists, no one has done more for the scene than Blink-182.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, I've got some points to go on here as well, but I echo every word that you've just said, apart from dissing Cheshire Cat.
I don't hate it. I just think
insane.
It's not...
Dude Ranch as well. Fucking phenomenal.
Yeah, it's just damn it, though, isn't it, really?
Damn it. Anyway, so them being in American Pie... and also releasing Damn It around that time and just releasing catchy songs that any teenager of the late 90s to early 2000s could relate to was what sent them like stratospheric. They just fucked off. They just went straight up there. Didn't matter what genre they were because the songs were fucking amazing. Anybody could listen to them. And almost everyone liked Blink when they were younger, but for some reason... they were just never good enough for the old heads of punk and punk rock and all that stuff because they're like, oh, they're too jokey, they're not taking it seriously, this, that, and the other. And I don't get why you have to limit yourself to only listening to certain types of music within a subgenre because it doesn't, the lyrics aren't quite right and this, that, and the other. If you like how it sounds, listen to it. Don't stop yourself listening to something because they don't talk about the political system in America and how unjust things are in the world. Like, why does that matter? Why do you want to listen to that anyway? I won't get into too much into that. But Damn It started it all. That was the track that really started to take them off. And then What's My Age Again secured it. So Damn It fucking went like this. What's My Age Again? Fucking even higher like that. And then once those two had come out, those two singles,
boom,
that was enough. That was enough to cement them as one of the best pop punk bands of all time. Obviously the best in our opinion. But like I say, Mount Rushmore for me. I think all three share a similar stage. And now the albums are hitting a nostalgic sweet spot of 20 to 25 years. So now that they're releasing new stuff, they've had another uptick in popularity because everybody's getting to the point where they're getting nostalgic for their old stuff. They've released an album with Tom again. And whilst I'm not the biggest fan, I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just not saying it's the greatest ever. One More Time. I think that has then brought a lot of people back in to listen to their old stuff anyway. They might not be listening to the newest album. They might have heard a couple of songs off it.
Do you know what's weird with One More Time? I really liked it when it came out, and now I'm not as sure. Like, I still like it. I still have 4 or 5 songs on my playlist, but I think it was a bit bloated.
Yeah, definitely.
That's all.
And also, it was kind of like when they broke up as a band and then got back together, they had the potential to get back together like they did recently. I mean, they didn't break up, but obviously they had Skiba in. And then when Tom came back, was kind of like, it was such a cultural event for a lot of people. And that then as well just let them fucking go even higher than they were before.
And also the celebrity of all 3 acts now. Obviously, Travis Barker's with one of the Kardashians, and that in itself has given him worldwide exposure as well as working with, like, I know MGK gets a lot of hate, but he got a #1 album, and Travis Barker produced it all and was the drummer on the whole thing. So it's like, he has just taken himself to a completely different level. He's a celebrity in his own right.
It's a lot like, a good analogy for it, I think, is like pro wrestling, when you've got a unit and they all split off and then they all reach their own successes individually.
Yeah.
And then people don't watch wrestling as much anymore. But if they heard that a group from back then was getting back together,
DX.
You guarantee they would be coming to watch that one match because all 3 of those going back. And that's what happened with Blink-182. They all came back and everyone went, oh, fuck, all eyes on them. Let's see what's going to happen here. And that is why Blink-182 are the greatest pop punk band of all time.